Speaker 2 will take 10 minutes and 4 minutes for rebuttal. Sir, rebuttal.
Okay.
And for the defendants and for the prosecution.
Hello,
Team 554 from your side.
I'm speaker 1 from team 554. Speaker 1 take 10 minutes, speaker 2 takes 10 minutes, and rebuttal for 4 minutes.
Okay. Now you can proceed.
So speaker 1 may proceed because I think Courtmaster can confirm us. This is the same case which we held hearing in the morning as well as yesterday. This is
Yes,
Samir
sir.
versus State versus Samir and others, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are aware of the facts of the case. You may proceed with the argument. Speaker 1, prosecution.
Good afternoon, my lords and opposing counsel. My name is Siddharth Raghuvanshi, presenting as speaker 1, and along with Vaishnavi Singh, my co-counsel, presenting as speaker 2, and researcher Pranjal Chauhan. I am, along with my team, going to represent the state. The accused were caught with bags that contains FICN. As the accused stated in their statement that they are they are transferring the FICN from Malda to Delhi, which was used for bomb blast. My lord, counsel will seek permission to proceed with the case issues involved in the case are as follows. Issue 1, whether the accused charged under IPC Indian Penal Code implemented upon the accused is valid and justifiable. Issue 2, whether charges passed against appellant under Unlawful Activity Prevention Act are justified. Counsel will seek permission to advance the argument.
Please go on.
Issue 2, whether the charges pressed against appellant under Unlawful
Sir,
Activity
there is a
Prevention Act are
miscommunication. Will you
justified.
please put it on hold?
Sorry.
Just hold on.
Sir,
Am I audible to?
Yes, you are audible. Courtmaster
yes.
Courtmaster wants to say anything?
Sir, actually, there is a confusion between fresh memorial. So, whether the fresh memorial is allotted or we have to argue on tomorrow's memorial. So, wait for a while, just for a minute.
Yes, sir. We are waiting. We are waiting. मनी कुछ कह रहे थे?
No, I was just saying what was the confusion that was being created.
Okay. Courtmaster is yet to confirm about the memorial that has been shared.
So, they have to argue on the fresh memorial, which has been sent yesterday to them.
May I proceed?
Yes, please. Okay, let us
I will
continue
deal with issue 2.
Yes, yes.
I will deal with issue 2.
Yes, please go on.
Issue 2, whether the charges pressed against appellant under Unlawful Activity Prevention Act are justified. The counsel humbly submitted in this honorable court that by analyzing the facts in hand, the session are very justified in pressing charges against Unlawful Activity Prevention. The accused, as stated in court, activity. In present case, the issue
Mr.
is that
Counsel, Mr. Counsel, you have some audio issue. So, are you speaking through microphone or directly over the phone or computer?
I'm speaking through microphone.
Okay, try removing this one and directly speak on the system.
No, if it is issues, you can switch off your image and then speak directly. Might be some.
No, but organizer has a rule that video has to be
Okay.
open.
Your Lordship, we want to say something.
Yes, please.
Actually, Your Lordship, they have said that they will provide with the fresh memo. And as the audio is also not clear, so we just want that please provide us with the same as well, so we can make the sir rebuttal points.
See, Mr. Defense Counsel,
Yes, sir.
you please carefully hear the argument. We don't much rely on the memorial which has been shared, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
please
Just give me
hear
a
the
minute,
argument
my lord.
carefully and then make a rebuttal, your argument based on their argument. Even if it is on the basis of old memorial, don't worry, we will mark accordingly. Don't
Thank
worry
you, sir.
about the marks.
Thank you, sir.
Just give me a minute, my lord.
I think your voice is okay now.
May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Unlawful Activity Prevention Act discuss about terrorist activity. In present case, the issue is that appellants are involved in terrorist activities and they were members of terrorist gangs and organizations. It is in such circumstances, it is very evident that the appellant will take plea that his organization is not a terrorist organization, as with accordance to the Unlawful Activity Prevention Act 1957. But the council humbly contended that mere conclusion or non-conclusion into a list which is not executed does not entail that appellant belong to a unlawful organization. The activities carried out by the appellants are more than enough to prove that they engage in terrorist activity. My lord, the Unlawful Activity Prevention Act was enacted with the object to prove for effective prevention of certain unlawful activities of individuals and associations, and for detailing with terrorist activity and for matters connected with them. My lord, in Rizal Hussain Khan versus NIA, the Guwahati High Court discussed at length the distinction between a terrorist organization and terrorist gang. It observed that the intent behind making distinction was to ensure that even terrorist acts committed by individuals or organizations not listed in the schedule should not be permitted to escape prosecution under the Act, merely because the organization concerned they had not been declared as an unlawful organization. When appellant was arrested, it cannot be said that the organization could not have indulged in terrorist acts or that the appellant could not have had knowledge of such activity. My lord, in present case, the appellant was getting FICNs from Bangladesh and Pakistan with bomb blast code दुल्हन को सजाने का वक्त आ गया है. They were transferring FICNs to Pulwama for bomb blasting on 15th August 2015 on Indian Army convoy. This shows their true intention and motive against the government of India. My lord, as per the Ministry of Home Affairs, the input the issue of FICNs as source of terror financing in India. Out of the 11 cases being investigated by NIA, in one case evidence has come on record fake currency was being used. It was revealed that
It is too much.
Indian,
Can't go on this way.
your audio, you have audio issue. You can remove your microphone and directly speak on the computer or telephone, whatever you are logging in.
Give me a minute, my lord. Give me a minute.
Please. Everyone should switch on their camera. We are not able to see researcher for team 554.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
My lord, it was revealed that fake Indian currency notes were given to him for using these in India. Out of the 32 cases being investigated by CBI during the last 3 years, that is 2010, 2011, 2012, and the current year, up to 30th June 2013. The involvement of organized criminal syndicates in trafficking and circulating of FICNs has been evident in 2 cases. My lord, under section 16 of Unlawful Activity Prevention Act, punishment for terrorist act is if such act has resulted in death of any person, be punishable with death or imprisonment for life. In other cases, be punishable with imprisonment or for a term, which shall not be less than 5 years and which may be extended. As per the charge sheet submitted in this case, the respondent was guilty of offence committed inter alia under section 15, subclause A, subclause A, subclause 3A of Act of 1967, which is punishable under section 16 of the Act. In view of the above stand of the appellant, we deem it appropriate to the relevant provision of Act of 1967. Section 17 of Unlawful Activity Prevention Act, the punishment for raising fund for terrorist act. Whoever in India or in foreign, directly or indirectly, raises or provides funds or collects funds, whether from a legitimate or illegitimate source, from any person or persons, to provide or raise or collect funds for any person or persons, knowing that such funds are likely to be used in full or part by such person or persons by a terrorist organization or by a terrorist gang or by an individual. My lord, in Nazir Khan versus State of Delhi, all criminal acts directed against a state along with intended or calculated to create a statue of terror in the mind of particular person or a group of persons or the general public. Also, terrorism is a law use of force or violence against person or property to intimidate or coerce a government, the civilian population, or any segment thereof in furtherance political or social objectives. My lord, under section 18 of conspiracy, whoever conspires or attempt to commit or advocate, abet, advise the commission of a terrorist act or any act preparatory to commission of a terrorist act shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which shall be not be less than 5 years. My lord, the appellant conspired knowingly to facilitate the commission of terrorist act and have carried out an act preparatory to commission of a terrorist act. Thus, the has guilt and convicted of offence punishable under section 18. My lord, section 20 of Unlawful Activity Prevention Act, punishment for being the member of terrorist gang or organization. The observation made by any person who is member of a terrorist gang or terrorist organization which is involved in terrorist act shall be punishable with imprisonment for term which may extend to imprisonment for life and shall also be liable to fine. The observation made by Supreme Court that if section 20 were to be interpreted in that manner, it would be once be considered as violative of the provision of section 19 of the Constitution of India and would be struck down as ultra vires. In fact, the judges of the Supreme Court of India have interpreted the concept of members as an active membership to save the relevance provision from being declared as unconstitutional. That's it, my lord. My lord, you are not audible.
Rajesh ji, you were mute.
Yes, sorry. So you were dealing with all the sections of UAPA 16, 17, 18, and 20. That was issue 2, right?
Yes, my lord.
Speaker 1. Okay. So let us go to speaker 2 then. Please continue, speaker 2.
The council seeks permission for the advance argument of issue 2.
Please go on.
Much obliged. Whether the charges under Indian Penal Code implicated upon the accused is valid and justiciable. It is humbly contended that Sameer Monu Kalumama is guilty of unlawful offences under section 120B, 489B, 489C, 121, 123 and 1201 of IPC. As per the section 120B deals with the punishment of criminal conspiracy, all the accused planned a bomb blast on 15th August 2015, but they were caught 25th Feb 2015 from Old Delhi railway station with 2 bags filled with FICNs and rupees 2,000 denomination of 5 lakhs in each. The involvement of all three in planning the criminal conspiracy. Section 120B of IPC makes punishable an act of a person who is a party to a criminal conspiracy to commit an offence if IPC defines criminal conspiracy to mean where 2 or more persons agree to do or cause to be done an illegal act. The fact that A1 and A2, and A3 met at a designated place where A3 hand over FICNs to A1, A2 gives rise to an inference that all accused were party to a criminal conspiracy for transferring FICNs. All accused are therefore convicted under section of IPC. Overact has been done in the pursuance of conspiracy. The provision do not require that each and every person who is party to the criminal conspiracy must do some overact towards the fulfillment of the object of conspiracy. The essential ingredient being an agreement between the conspirators to commit the crime. If these requirements and ingredients are established, the act would fail within the trapping of the provisions contained in section 120B. Overacts are significant act would fail since by means of such acts the existence of conspiracy can be made out. In such cases of conspiracy, the agreement between the conspirator could not directly be proved by only be inferred by from the facts. For an offence under section 120B of IPC, the prosecution need to necessarily prove that the conspirator expressly agreed to do or caused to be done in the illegal act. The agreement may be proved necessary implication. The charge of conspiracy against the appellant is proved by the existence of all the mentioned above essential of conspiracy. Circumstantial evidence to corroborate the guilt of accused. Conspirator cannot discuss the plan in the presence of stranger. Since privacy and secrecy are the elements of the criminal conspiracy, it is difficult to obtain direct evidence in its proof. It can therefore be proved by evidence of surrounding circumstances and conduct of accused both before and after alleged commission of crime. Accused is guilty of section 489B and 489C of IPC. So far as 489B is concerned, it is a penal provision for selling to or buying or receiving from any other person or otherwise trapping it in or using as genuine any forged and counterfeit currency note and banknote, knowing or having reason to believe the same to be forged or counterfeit. In this connection, it is required to be noted that it has also come in evidence that A1 and A2 was found with the counterfeit currency notes, and they also said that they counterfeit currency notes from A3. They therefore charge against A1 and A2 and A3 for commission of offence under section 489B is also proved. So far as 489C of IPC is concerned, it is a penal provision for possessing any forged or counterfeit currency note or banknote, knowing or having reason to believe the same to be forged or counterfeited and intending to use the same as genuine, or it may be used as a genuine. Therefore, there is ample evidence that both A1 and A2 were found with not merely one or two counterfeited currency note, but a large number of counterfeited notes of 5 lakh denomination of 2000. With the involvement of A3, therefore, both the accused were counterfeited currency notes possessed and the same for using the same as genuine notes. Therefore, it is not to be held that all the them have committed the offence under Section 489C of IPC. In the discussion, all accused are found guilty of the offence under Section 489B and 489C of IPC. The accused is guilty of Section 121 and 123 of IPC. As per 121, whoever wage war against the government or attempt to wage war such war or abates the waging war of such war shall be punished with death and or imprisonment for life, or shall be also liable to fine. To constitute an offence under Section 121 of IPC, no specific number of persons is necessary, and the manner in which they are equipped or armed is not material. The true criteria is quo animo, with what in mind and intention did the gathering assemble. A1, A2, and A3 have the same intention and object, that they want to transfer FICN for the bomb blast to Pulwama on 15th August 2015 on Indian Army convoy. Anyone who was in the mob and took part in it was guilty of waging war. My lord, attack on to constitute the offence of waging war under Section 121 of IPC, forces need to be direct target and attack. The intention and purpose of the warlike operation directed against the government machinery is not important criteria. Through the modus operandi of preparing for the offensive against the government may be quite akin to the preparation in the regular war. As per the Section 123, whoever in act or by an illegal omission conceals the existence of a design to wage war against the government, intending by such concealment to facilitate or knowingly it to be likely that such concealment will facilitate the waging of such war, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description of a term which may extend to 10 years and shall be also liable to fine. The object of this section is to ensure that the information should not withheld from the police, who are take proper steps for the suppression of such crimes or being the offender to book. Duty to inform the public about the design to wage war against the government of India. In present case, appellant designs the wage war against the government by planning a bomb blast in Pulwama. All appellant know about the design but no one informs the nearest magistrate or police officer, so they are liable under this section. As per Section 201, it deals with two offences: causing of disappearance of evidence of an offence committed with the intention of screening offender from legal punishment, giving false information respecting of an offence committed with the intention of screening of offender from legal punishment. In the present case, the appellant disappeared all the evidence from Sohail's house before NIA reached. A5 was absconding. He went back to the Bangladesh when police arrested Kalumama A3. The accused did so intending to screen the offender be himself or any other person. So this section is also pressed accused is valid and justiciable. The council seeks permission for the conclusion.
Please conclude.
Which is a drawback of, in such cases, the constitutional validity of any such special PN statute cannot be challenged with specifically deals with the procedure established by regarding the trial of the offence. In the instance case, the government has complied with the due process of law by carrying out a detailed inquiry. And in last, I leave upon the decision to the Honorable Court and humbly ask a legitimate question to my lords, that whether this Honorable Court through their decision will ensure the general people of this country that they will be saved and establish the belief of common in judicial system and send deterrent to all those terrorists wherever they may be hiding, that the court will bring them on their knees and serve justice, or to this court is going to leave the common man in fear and dark, and give those devils encouragement that nothing going to happen to them. I and people of this country have all beliefs in this honorable court. That's all.
Can you, just one question from you. What did
Yes,
you say
yes.
about 123? Who destructed the evidence? Who destroyed the evidence or suppressed the evidence? Did you say anything about 123?
123.
Yes.
Yes, my lord.
What exactly is your
120
allegation? What exactly is your allegation with regard to section 123 against the accused?
Yes. In the present case, appellant designed the wage war against the government by planning a bomb blast in Pulwama. All the appellants know about the design or plan, but no one informs the nearest magistrate or officer, so they are all liable under this section because they participated in their plan.
Okay. So you mean to say that if I am going to murder someone, before murdering I should inform the police?
No, no, Your Honor.
Is it 123? Chalo, theek hai. I will request your researcher to make little research on this because I am going to ask question at the end. So be prepared on this. Let us move to the defense side now. Is there anything to say?
No, Your Honor.
Please, let us move to defense.
Good afternoon, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, the Council would like to refer the bench collectively as Your Lordships. And Your Lordship, the Council seeks your permission to proceed with the statement of jurisdiction in this case because it is important now.
Are you going to challenge the jurisdiction of this court?
Sir, actually, we are not challenging the jurisdiction of this court. We are just mentioning that what is the right jurisdiction.
So I think even the prosecution is on the same page with you. You are also saying the jurisdiction is there. Prosecution is also saying the jurisdiction is there. So there is nothing to argue. Why are you arguing on jurisdiction? Let us not argue in jurisdiction. Let us go directly to the issues.
Oblige, Your Lordship. Okay. Your Lordship, the first issue in this case is whether the accused persons are guilty under Section 489B, 489C of Indian Penal Code and Section 16 of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Your Lordship, the prosecution has said that the accused person should be guilty under the Section 16 of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which states the punishment for doing terrorist act. Your Lordship, in this whole case, the whole case revolves around the counterfeit currency notes. Now, Your Lordship, first of all, according to the Rule 6 Clause 1 of Investigation of High Quality Counterfeit Indian Currency Rules 2013, when a case has been registered upon seizure of currency suspected to be high quality counterfeit currency, the investigation officer shall forthwith send the seized currency or sample thereof within 48 hours of the seized currency of the seizure.
Which section you are speaking?
According to Rule 1 of Investigation of High Quality Counterfeit Indian Currency Rules 2013, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it says about 48 hours it has to be sent to the CFSL, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, after that, the said authority shall forward a preliminary report as to whether the seized currency is high quality counterfeit Indian currency within 15 days of receipt of such sample. So it is the duty, it is a formal duty of the CFSL to provide the report within the 15 days. Your Lordship, in this case, the arrest and seizure was done on 25th of February 2015. So according to the rules, the investigation, it is a duty of the investigation officer to send the seized currency to the CFSL till 27th February 2015. Now, after sending the notes, it is the duty of the CFSL to send the report back to the investigation agency within 15 days, which will amount to 14th of March 2015. But the report here, which was received by the investigation agency, is on 16 April 2015, which clearly indicates that there is a gap of 1 month, one whole month. So we can say that if the CFSL has provided the information report within 15 days, So the police, why the police officer, investigation officer has not sent the report, sent the seized currency to the CFSL, that too for 1 long month, and without any reasonable delay, without any reasonable reason that why there was delay, Your Lordship. Now, Your Lordship, according to Rule 6, Clause 2 of Investigation of High Quality Counterfeit Indian Currency Rules 2013, provided that the preliminary report may not contain a detailed forensic report, but may restrict itself to the question of whether the key security features mentioned in the third schedule of the act have been intimated or compromised in the seized counterfeit currency. When the preliminary report was received by the agency, there was not even a single reason that why they have come to the conclusion that the currency is fake. Now, the second part of this same rule is, and the complete report for the purpose shall be provided before the completion of investigation. Even in the case when the final report, that was the third report provided by the CFSL, has nothing to show that why they came to the conclusion. Your Lordship, according to the Ministry of Home Affairs, there are 50 plus reasons which can be given if we are categorize a currency as a counterfeit currency. But the report has stated nothing, not in the preliminary, not in the final report, which itself raises a question, a reasonable doubt that why the CFSL didn't provide any reasonable reason for their conclusion, and why the investigation officer has sent the seized currency 1 month late. Now, Your Lordship, the most important part of our whole case, is when we talk about FIR, which is in this case the FIR exhibited in Exhibit 1. When we talk about FIR, we generally think that FIR is the rawest form of information. That there are no such so much changes, and there are no so much fabrication. It is known as the embellishment or the establishment of a case. Your Lordship, when the informer Pappu Singh informed the special cell, in his statement also as PW1, he has stated that he has told the special cell about the 2 accused persons. That the 2 accused persons are coming in the general coach of Farakka Express. Now, Your Lordship, if we for a second we think that before filing the FIR, the investigation officer decided to do some preliminary inquiry. For a second, if we just think, he has interrogated after arresting both the accused, he has interrogated and he decided, yes, there are 4 accused. Now the question come here says, according to the statement of Monu and Samir, they received the notes from Samir, they Kalu @ Mama, and they are going to deliver, that is mentioned in charge sheet, they are going to deliver it to Peter. But in whole of the charge sheet, there is nowhere mentioned that they know anything about Sohail. Not even a single instance where they have uttered a single word or even uttered the name of Sohail. So how the police agencies, special cell has mentioned the accused Sohail as accused in this case, when they didn't even know anything about Sohail. In the whole charge sheet, they have not even said that yes, we got the information from from Samir, Monu, that yes, there was a. The only instance when we can gather that there was something related to Sohail was para number 17.11, where he said that as per the instruction of Kalu @ Mama, they were asked to travel to Pulwama after reaching Delhi. He further revealed that Kalu @ Mama, under para 17.11 of charge sheet, revealed that Kalu @ Mama was taking instruction from someone else. Here also he didn't tell about the name because he himself don't know about, both of the accused person didn't know anything about the Sohail. So how the police come to know about that there is an accused person named Sohail? Even the FIR, which is the most important part of any case because it is the rawest form of information, has some very important, not just lacunas, but it clearly indicates that the story is concocted and frivolous. Now, Your Lordship, the third point, the information.
So you mean to say that the FIR is against Sohail? Is it so? Yes. Yes,
sir, because the name is mentioned there.
Okay.
There are 5 in the name of. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can see para 7.
Yes, sir. Para 7, Peter and Sohail, 5th number.
Yes. How come they come to know about this, Peter and Sohail, right?
Yes, sir. In the whole charge sheet, if we just go through even single detail, there was not a single instance where Samir and Monu have told the police anything about Sohail. Now, the sir, second thing, the informer in this case is Guddu Singh, who is a pawn shop owner at Kakanagar. Sir, when he was giving statement, PW1 has given a statement in the court. He told about that he got a secret information. The first thing is that he didn't elaborate it how he did get the information. Now he said that he had a shop in Kakanagar, which is 6.1 kilometer away from New Delhi railway station. Now, according to the charge sheet, the two persons were traveling in general coach. The counterfeit seized currency was in the secret cavity pocket. The question arises: even if he get the secret information, from where did he get the secret information? Is he the permanent informer of the police? And even they were traveling in the general coach. It is not possible. When we talk about the general coach,
my dear friend,
yes, sir.
the prosecution is not obliged to reveal the name of the secret informer. However, in this case, they have come forward with some statement of the informer. However, it is not at all required. This informer are protected by the CRPC. So police is not obliged to reveal the name of the informer and how was the modus operandi of getting that information. So this is secured. This is being protected.
Oh, okay, Your Lordship totally obliged with
Please.
this point. So
Go
now,
on.
Your Lordship, if you are satisfied with the issue 1 and you don't have any further question, the council would like to proceed with issue 2.
Yes, please proceed to issue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have mentioned about the lacuna of the FIR, lacuna in the FIR, and about the procedural issue like forwarding or sending the currency notes FICN to the CFSL, right?
Yes.
Other
yes,
than
sir.
this, on merit, you don't want to say anything?
Yes,
You are
yes.
arguing on what sections? All the sections?
Yes, sir. I am arguing on section 16.
Section 16. Okay.
Yes, of Unlawful Activities and Prevention Act, and section 489B and 489C of
489B and 489C. So all the financial aspects of this case you are
Yes.
dealing with. So
Yes.
do you want to say anything on the merits of the case? Because these are the technicalities that you have mentioned. Of course, this is very valid points, but you want to say anything on the merits?
Yeah, yes, Your Lordship. The other thing, and thank you so much, Your Lordship, that you revised me to go in this
Please, please.
point. Your Lordship, according to section 489B of Indian Penal Code, whoever sells to or buys or receives from any other person or otherwise traffics in or uses as genuine any forged or counterfeit currency notes or banknote knowing or having reason to believe the same to be forged or counterfeited shall be punished with the imprisonment for life or with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. So if we go into the main elements of this section, they are telling about knowledge and or reason to believe it, which is considered to be as the mens rea. According to the statement of PW2, DW1 and DW2, they have themselves admitted that they didn't know anything about. They didn't know that what is in the bag. What is in the bag? And from the prosecution side also, they haven't revealed anything. That instead, in spite of the possession of the money, is there anything else that can show their intention towards they can show their intention that they were dead intentionally have supplied the forged notes. Your Lordship, in the case of M. Mammootty versus State of Karnataka, Honorable Supreme Court of India held that knowing or having reason to believe the currency notes or banknotes are forged or counterfeit without the aforementioned mens rea, selling, buying, or receiving from another person or otherwise trafficking in using as genuine forged or counterfeit currency notes or banknote is not enough to constitute an offense under Section 489B of IPC. In the same case, it has been reiterated by the Honorable Supreme Court of India that the onus line on the prosecution to prove circumstances that lead clearly, indubitably, and irresistibly to the inference that the accused has the intention to foist the notes on the public. Your Lordship, the mens rea is totally invisible in this particular case. The only thing they have shown are the CDRs and their frequent visits to Malda. Your Lordship, according to the statement of DW1, and it has also been admitted by the prosecution that the Malda is the hometown of both the all three accused persons, Kalu, Samir, and Monu. So if someone is having frequent visit to his hometown, it doesn't create a doubt, or you can say it is a evidence to show that um, they were the part of that particular conspiracy, or they were part of the terrorist activity. Now, they have told about the CDRs. They have already iterated that they all were the part of the same organization. They were working for the upliftment of poor. Their work is to sensitizing the people regarding the malfunction of government. So all these points are clearly that they could be in the be in the contract list of each other. They can contract each other. Your Lordship, these are all the, and there is no such any question, Your Lordship.
That's all. No question.
Your Lordship.
You are summing up?
Sir, second issue, if you give me the...
Please.
Your Lordship, the second issue is whether the accused persons are guilty under Section 17 and 20 of Unlawful Activities and Prevention Act and Section 201 of IPC. Your Lordship, it is humbly submitted before this Honorable Court that according to Section 17 of Unlawful Activities and Prevention Act, whoever in India or in a foreign country directly or indirectly raises or collects funds or provide funds to any persons, knowing that such funds are likely to be used by such person or persons to commit a terrorist act, notwithstanding whether such funds were actually used or not for the commission of such act, shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 5 years, but which may extend to imprisonment for life and shall be also be liable to fine. Now the whole thing that the prosecution has relied to invoke this section is the bomb blast on army convoy, that the whole money was used for the bomb blast on army convoy. Now, Your Lordship, the thing is, according to the CDR's report, prosecution has shown that there were frequent visits of Samir and Manu to Malda. Why didn't the prosecution has used the CDRs of Peter, that who was in Pulwama, to show that he was actually in Pulwama to receive the money? They haven't showed the CDRs or anything that can show that he was actually in Pulwama. No.
Have the prosecution filed the CDR record of Peter?
No, sir. CDR report they have filed, but they have not mentioned that he was in Pulwama.
Okay, so CDR report with respect to Peter is in the record. You mean to say?
Yes, sir, in the record, but they have not mentioned anywhere that he was in the Pulwama. They have just mentioned that he was in contact with Samir Monu and Kalu Mama.
Peter was okay.
Yes, sir. Kalu at the rate Mama. Now, Your Lordship, the second thing about the terrorist attack on, if they have planned to do any terrorist attack on the army convoy, there are some explosion. There are even a single thing related to that related to that terrorist attack. But when it comes to the point that why didn't they get any incriminating material, they are just saying that the Kalu at the rate Mama has destroyed all the evidence, which is not a conclusive proof, because they have, according to them, they have searched the house of sorry, just a minute. Can I sir,
Kalu.
May
they have searched the house of Kalu.
Yes, Kalu and Suhail. They haven't got any incriminating material because they have arrested the Kalu at the Mama on 23 June. He was wanted, but the house can never be wanted, sir. The house will always be there. If they have the case is before NIA, it was in special cell of Delhi police. When we talk about the special cell, we generally think that the special cell has much more resources than compared to any other police. So why didn't they search the house immediately when they got the information? Your Lordship, I would like to sum up my arguments on this. My
Brilliant. बहुत बढ़िया.
Thank you, sir.
Great. So you mean to say that prosecution had the knowledge of the residential address of Kalu Mama even before his arrest?
Your Lordship, according to the charge sheet, they have said that they have searched the house of Sohail and Kalu Mama many times, but they didn't find. So if they have searched them multiple times, it clearly indicates that they know something about.
Okay.
And why didn't they use the security to stop Kalu Mama from doing this all things?
Great. So you are speaker one
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay. Now speaker 2.
Your Lordship, Council will address the bench collectively as Your Lordship. Council seek permission to proceed with issue 3.
Please go on.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Issue 3. Whether the accused is liable for conspiracy under Section 120B of the Indian Penal Code and Section 18 of the Unlawful Activity Prevention Act. It is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court. The Section 120A of the Indian Penal Code states that when two or more persons agree to do or cause to be do an illegal act or an legal act by illegal means, such an agreement designated as a criminal conspiracy. And the Section 120B provides the punishment for violation of Section 120A. From the bare reading of Section 120A and the case of CBI versus Nalali, the Honorable Supreme Court of India held that the main elements in the criminal conspiracy is first, that is an intention. Second is the agreement, that is meeting of minds between the two or more persons to do a criminal act or unlawful act. In the present case, the intention is not present. The Sameer and Monu carry a bag from Malda to New Delhi on the instruction of Kalu Mama, because the Kalu is the president of their organization and they believe the same set of ideology. The government have hidden agenda to suppress the oppressed class of the society, and their organization facing a sanction from government. There is a difficult time on their organization. So Kalu need a trustworthy man to carry their project for organization. So in the present case, Sameer and Monu didn't ask the intention of Kalu. Even the Kalu didn't know the bag is containing fake currency notes, because all the funding of the organization is collected by Sohail, according to statement of DW3, Kalu and Mama. Then he needs some money for their organization of rally. He get money from Sohail, and the only person maybe knows about that there is a currency which it is fake is Sohail. Therefore, there is never intention to do a unlawful or criminal act by Sohail, Sameer, Monu, Kalu. Even according to investigation agency, the money is used to utilize a bomb attack on army convoy on 15 August 2015, and the money is utilized by Peter in Pulwama. But investigation agencies never shows the presence of Peter in Pulwama. Even in the charge sheet, they shows that the Peter is residing in the Badod district of Madhya Pradesh. He never shows there is a presence in Pulwama or Jammu Kashmir. Then how can they utilize money in Jammu and Kashmir if there is not present there? And the second evidence given by the investigation agencies that they make a plan and they are connected with each other by telephonic conversation. They file a CRT reports. But according to case of Kirtipal versus State of West Bengal, the Honorable Supreme Court of India held that the telephone calls and recovery of these calls may raise a suspicious against the accused, but mere suspicious cannot itself take a place of proof. So there is nothing concrete proof that there is a conspiracy to do a criminal act. Even by the bare reading of the Section 128, which clearly state that in conspiracy there is always required a two or more person. But in the present case, if there is a person knows there is a fake currency is present in the Indian monetary system is Sohail. So one person cannot conspire with himself. So in the present case, there is a never conspiracy. And the Section 18 of the Unlawful Prevention Act, Your Lordship.
Yes, sir. You mean to say that Sohail was even Sohail was not aware of the contents of the bag? He was not aware of the fact that Sohail, no, Kalu. I'm talking about Kalu. You mean to say that Kalu was not aware about the contents in the bag?
Yes, sir. I said that the Kalu is not aware of the content of the bag because all the funding is collected by Sohail. And
so you mean to say that Sohail handed over back to the Kalu and Kalu handed over the bag to Sameer and Monu, and they took the bag to Delhi without knowing the contents in the bag, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it your case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go on.
Your Lordship, the Council would like to proceed with issue 4.
Yes.
Whether the much obliged Your Lordship, whether the accused persons are liable for waging war against the government of India under Section 121 and 123 of the Indian Penal Code. It is humbly submitted before the Honorable Court. Under Section 121 of the Indian Penal Code state that whoever wages a war against the government of India or attempt to wage such war or abet such waging war shall be punishable with death or imprisonment for life. And Section 123 state that whoever by an act or by an illegal omission conceal existence of design of waging war or intending to such concealment to be likely to facilitate the waging war will be punished with imprisonment for term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable for fine. But in the present case, there is no any evidence which proves that there is a intention to do a waging war against the government of India. The only crime which shows that there is a counterfeit currency in the possession of the accused Samir and Monu. But my co-counsels also deal this issue in issue number 1 that the Samir and Monu does not have any intention to use these counterfeit currencies in the Indian monetary system. They genuinely believe that the currency in this possession are real. Even they don't know. First instance, in their bag there is a currency because the currency is hide inside the cavity of bag. And the second point is that the allegation of the investigation agency, the main planning of all the accused to do a terrorist act of the attack on army convoy on 15 August 2015. But there is nothing shows that there is anything done by the accused to do a terrorist act. There is nothing to show that there is any material which is used for a terrorist act. The only thing is presence is a counterfeit currency. Even if we suppose there is planning to do a terrorist act, if we suppose the Honorable Supreme Court of the India held in NCT Delhi versus Navjot Sandhu case, the waging war and the terrorist act may have some overlapping features, but every terrorist act is not as used as a waging war. Even in the case of MD Jamaluddin Nasir versus State of West Bengal, Supreme Court of India repeated the statement that the object sought to be achieved make a case applicable under Section 121 and Section 123 of the IPC should be directed against the sovereignty of the state, and the commission of crime should be held such a high degree which disturb the peace and order of the sovereignty of state. But the mere possession of counterfeit currency does not disturb the peace and order of the state, such a high peace and order of the state, because there is not a high degree of the commission of crime. So that's why we concluded that there is all the accusing present case does not violate it. Section 121 and 123 of the Indian Penal Code. Your Lordship, if you allow, the Council would like to proceed with the prayer. Your Lordship, you are unaudible.
Please unmute yourself.
I just wanted to know what Section 123 says.
Your Lordship, the Section 123 states that whoever by conceal the act of waging war,
Okay.
or
It is about the concealment of facts and destruction of evidence, right?
No, sir, it is about the concealment of facts of the waging wars. The Section 201 of the Indian Penal Code state that the destruction of evidence and
Okay. And 123 deals with the concealment of fact about the waging of war against India, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Now you can proceed with your prayer.
It is hereinafter the mostly humbly prayed and implored before the Honorable Special Court that in the light of issues raised, argument advanced, authorities cited, and the pleading made, the Honorable Special Court may please to adjudge to acquit all the accused from all charges under Indian Penal Code and Unlawful Activity Prevention Act, or pass any other order that honorable court may deem fit in favor of accused to meet ends of equity, justice, and good conscience.
Okay, now my question is to both the prosecution and defense. Is the statement taken of the accused Monu, Samir, and Kallu? Are these statements are under section 161 of CRPC?
Your Lordship, this question has been asked by us many times from the organizers. They have said that you have to presume that these statements are defense witnesses and these statements can be admissible in the court. You have to presume, only presume.
They
Okay,
said
because
the statement is under.
they have written 161 CRPC, so we
Yes,
cannot
sir.
But
presume.
sir, in clarification, they said that the statement is under 313 of the CRPC.
Okay. Prosecution also agrees with this. It is
Counsel,
favoring
with
prosecution.
permission, there are some points to be noted, my lord.
Yes, go on.
My learned opposition counsel, in their memo, they mentioned their witness as accused.
Yes, go on.
And my lord, in their memorial, they mentioned Kalu Mama told every detail about Sohail of bomb blast, but Samir, Monu, Kalu Mama, Peter, and Sohail are frequently used to make telephone calls with each other. Some also mentioned in CDR record. They also mentioned were accused for their witnesses. But my lord, Kalu Mama was not ready to tell about the details of Sohail. Also, he disappeared the evidence from his house.
Okay. So you mean to say that 123 is applicable because Kalu Mama has suppressed the facts, right? Concealed the facts.
My lord, yes, IPC section 201 of IPC is concealed because the Kalu Mama uh, disappeared the evidence from the Sohail's house, and even he said nothing about the detail of Sohail.
Okay. So your prosecution story is based on the fact that Kalu Mama took active role in disappearing the evidence from the Suhail house, right?
My lord, disappearing the evidence and the major part in the transferring the FICNs for the bomb blast. He
So
knows
FICN is
because
the active role. What is the
Yes, my
question
lord.
is that your
Yes,
case
my
is on, I'm specific towards, specifically talking about section 201, which is about the concealment of facts or suppression of or concealment of the evidence, right?
Yes, my lord, and section 489B and 489C as well as.
Let us focus on 201. You mean to say, what you are saying is that for in order to attract section 201, there should be a concealment of evidence or facts, right? Concealment of evidence or destruction of evidence or removal of evidence. Now
Yes, my lord.
you are relying on the fact that Kalu Mama took active part in removing the evidence from the house of Suhail, right?
Yes, my lord.
Okay. Is there anything on record? Charge में कहीं लिखा हुआ है ये?
Allegations, sir.
Yes, my lord. It is mentioned in the charge
Can
sheet.
you point the para?
17, but
Just 1 second, my lord.
I don't find any substance on this regard. Okay. You all, anything more other than this?
Your
Speaker
Lordship,
two?
can we
Just
sir,
hold,
but
just
there
hold
are,
on. Just hold on. We'll come to you. Speaker two, let your researcher research on this subject about the fact what is
Yes.
mentioned with regard to section 201. You want to make any other statement with regard to other section? Rebuttal?
No, my lord. That's all we have to say.
Okay. Back to speaker defense, please.
Your Lordship, according to the point raised by the Learned Council for Prosecution, that the Kalu @ Mama has not provided any information regard to the investigation agency, and that's why Section 123 should be attracted, and Section 201 should be attracted on the basis of destruction of evidence. Your Lordship, first thing, according to the charge sheet itself, para number 17.27.
Yes.
Kalu the second line is Kalu @ Mama pointed out the places where he took both Samir and Monu from Malda town railway station and sent them to his through his bound. He also pointed out his house where a delivery of denomination of rupees 10 lakhs took place in presence of Sohail. Your Lordship, the first thing is, on one side they are saying that he has not provided any information, and in the charge sheet itself they are telling that all the information was given by Kalu @ Mama. So
Right.
it's contradictory. The statements are already contradictory on the part
My
of
lord.
prosecution.
Yes. Just hold on. Just hold on. Let him
My
complete.
lord.
Let him complete. Yeah.
No, Your Lordship, according they were talking about Section 201. They have said
I got your
have already-
point. I got your point. The accused were altogether cooperating with the investigating agency. They never concealed any facts. They never destroy any evidence or remove any evidence. Right? This is your case, and there is nothing on record to show that. Yes, please. You tell me.
From the point which my opposition stated right now, from their paragraph 17.27, he in this paragraph he stated that Samir and Monu also know about the plan and delivering the FICNs of to the Sohail, and the next paragraph in 17.28 there was a statement that during the course of investigation, the house of Sohail was searched number of times, but incriminating substance could not be recovered by Kalu Mama and had destroyed all the evidences.
Where it is written,
NIA team found one public witness named Shah Rukh Khan.
who claimed that he say, please go ahead, read.
17.27.
No, 17.28. She is reading.
17.28.
Yes.
Shah Rukh
Please
Khan, who
read.
claimed that he had seen Sohail on 20 May 2015 at about 8:23 a.m. with two persons, Kalu Mama and one unknown person in black kurta pajama.
But where it is written that he removed any evidence from that place?
Yes, in the paragraph in the charge sheet, it stated that he removed all the evidence.
Where? That is exactly my question. Where in the charge sheet it is written?
17.28 para.
कहाँ लिखा हुआ? Where it is written? During the course of investigation.
The house of Sohail was searched number of times, but incriminating substance could not be resolved as Kalu Mama had destroyed all the evidences.
So because you have not recovered anything, that means he has destroyed the evidence. Without speaking,
NIA
without.
found one public witness.
Okay. Chalo, ठीक है. Great. Now, Mani, if you would like to ask any question, or should I continue with the question?
Hi, you continue with the questions.
Okay. Now, my question first is to prosecution. Where in the record it says that the Monu, Samir, and Kallu were a part of organization or a gang. Where it is in the record? Let us go through the statement. Can you point it out exactly where it is written?
Just 1 minute.
Please.
My lord, in the para 17.10,
Okay. Read, please read.
in his examination by special cell Delhi police, accused Samir disclosed several names of associates in this organized supply and purchase of FICN, namely Peter and Kalu Mama. He stated that he used to receive 10% commission on each deal. He disclosed that he and Monu used to receive consignment of FICN from Kaliachak, Malda, and travel in general coach of trains as it was a completely safe. My lord, each
It
deal
is
shows
only
that they have done that
see.
before also.
Okay. So this is the opinion of the IO because I don't find any substance, anything like this in the statement of Kalu, Samir or Monu. We have DW1, DW2, DW3. There is nothing mentioned in this regard with the statement of the three accused.
In the statement given to the police, they had admitted that they are continuously contacted with each other.
Okay. So, thank you. Now, there one more question to prosecution. The defense is relying on the fact that Monu and Samir were carrying those bags without knowing the content of this. They were not aware of the content of the bag. What do you have to say?
But in their statement given to the police, they said that they have done that before also for the commission. So how can he don't know about the FICS?
Okay. But it is not in the statement given by to the police. DW1 does not say so. Now, come back to defense.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Now, please listen carefully that there are a lot of circumstantial evidences against you. The first circumstances is that Dulhan ko sajana padega. Then there is some disenchantment with the government. They were annoyed with the policies of the government towards some particular class of the people. Then they deliberately carried a luggage, a bag from Malda to Delhi without knowing the contents. Thirdly, their place of residence is in Madhya Pradesh. Why they come to Delhi? And CDR record. So there are so many circumstances incriminating them. What do you have to say? And let me tell you that there are some judgment which says that when there are so many circumstances leading to any suggestion that can be read as an evidence?
Your Lordship, the first thing is दुल्हन को सजाने का वक्त बदलना होगा. The thing that he has said that they were planning to do a rally. They were planning to do a grand rally. In the statement of Kalu at Mama, in the last second line, he said, I asked him to calm down and said nothing would happen and he should focus on the rally. The last word of his statement is itself rally. Now, Your Lordship, the second thing is, when we are a part of organization, we have to do many work for an organization.
You are admitting that you are a part of organization?
Sir,
Was it an organization?
Sir, the organization is totally different. Their work was to sensitize people and show the people that how government is using caste and religion for their own benefit, and their work was their own work was to sensitize people and do something for the welfare of the poor class. So it was their organization. They were only trying to do. They were definitely against the government, but they were not against the country. That is a different thing. They were totally we are totally agree that yes, they were depressed with the malfunctioning of government. They were not happy with the policies of the government.
Right.
But
now give me an explanation why they carried a luggage, a bag, without knowing what is inside the bag from Malda to Delhi. That too in 2015. That India has suffered a lot of terrorist attacks and all.
Yes.
So why did they carry this? On what was the motive?
Your Lordship, the thing is that they were working in an organization. There can be many work related to their organization. Even we are supposing that according to their own statement, the bag was given given to them by Kalu. So it was just their work to supply it to anywhere else. Supply it. They didn't know that actually. But and one more thing, Your Lordship, the bag was a big bag. There was just a secret cavity in that the money was. So there are high chances that they themselves even didn't know that what is in the pocket. And many times we have seen there were some cases, I didn't remember the name of that case, where the person is carrying something in their bag and then come to know out that someone else has put that into their bag, Your Lordship.
So you mean to say that Samir and Monu was aware of the contents of the bag, but not aware of the secret cavity which were carrying the FICN, right?
Yes, Your Lordship. The secret because the
You're
money was
smart.
in secret cavity.
You're a smart. You maneuvered well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, and thanks for the point that I will not use that point of witness in next round.
No issue.
Thank you so much.
All the best. You have done very well. All the speakers are wonderful. My best wishes. I am not allowed to know the college name because organizer has asked us not to ask these names of the colleges. So I hope you are doing well, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Court Master, over to Court Master.
So it is kindly requested to kindly check the thing. I will request you for this. Share the result and after that
Court Master, we are not able to hear you clearly.
So I have texted you in chat box, please.
Okay, since I have heard many cases, many sessions, I know the formality. So we need to send our marks to the organizer, Court Master, and they have a process to make you aware about the marks and the result of this session. Thank you very much. You may take leave.
Thank you.
ठीक है.